The story said that the father of all Jews was Abraham. Abraham was born in the city of Ur in Mesopotamia. According to the Jewish book of tradition and law, the Talmud, the people of Abraham's land worshiped the sky, and each city venerated a different heavenly body. Abraham's father made and sold idols to the people of the city of Ur. But Abraham could not accept his father's ideas about religion.
There's a very famous legend that says that when Abraham was a young boy, his father, Terach, owned a shop. The shop was full of idols. One day he said to his son, "Watch the store for a while I go out." And when he came back, he found that every idol in the store had been smashed, except for the largest idol that had a wooden staff in its hand. The father said to Abraham, "What went on? I left you in charge. What happened?" Abraham said, "Don't get mad at me. The largest god here destroyed all the others." His father said, "What are you, nuts? They're wood and stone." And Abraham said, "Aha, that's the point. They're just wood and stone." And that story comes to tell us that it was Abraham who was the first one to discover the idea that there is one God in the universe, that God created the heavens and the earth, and not the other way around.
According to the stories, once Abraham began to voice his belief that the universe was ruled by a single God, that God gave him a mission.
And the Lord said to Abraham, "Leave your country, your kindred, and your father's house, for a country which I will show you. And I will make you a great nation. I will bless those who bless you, and curse those who curse you. And all clans on earth will bless themselves by you."
The stories say God led Abraham to a land near Egypt called Canaan. In Canaan, God tested Abraham, and Abraham tried to learn about God. In their most disturbing meeting, God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son.
"Abraham, Abraham," God called. "Take your son, your only son, your beloved Isaac, and offer him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I shall point out to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and loaded it on Isaac. When they arrived at the place, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood. Then Abraham stretched out his hand and seized the knife to kill his son. But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham," he said, "do not raise your hand against the boy. For now I know you fear God. You have not refused your son, your only son. Take the ram which I have provided and sacrifice it instead."
I regard this as a game of chicken. See, at the last moment, when Abraham has the knife poised and ready to make the sacrifice, who blinked? Well, God, or his angel, says, "Okay, I'm satisfied, don't do it." Would Abraham have done it? Nobody says. Maybe he was testing the deity, just as the story tells us the deity was testing Abraham.
The stories say that because of Abraham's obedience, God made him a promise.
I swear by my own self, because you have done this, because you have not refused me your son, I will shower blessings on you. I will make your descendants as many as the stars of heaven.
Abraham is, I think, if you will, a mythic figure. Whether he existed in history or not is almost incidental to what he represents, which is the turning away from idolatry and the notion that we become one people who worship one God. In Jewish imagination, Abraham is noted for his hospitality, for his welcoming of others. And I think that is the corollary of his monotheism, that we all are brothers and sisters, and therefore we are all welcome under the same tent.
The story of Abraham's relationship with God would speak so powerfully to future generations that Abraham would be embraced as a founding figure of Islam and Christianity, as well as Judaism. But for the scribes in exile in Babylon, simply writing down stories about their ancestors was not enough. Their great challenge was to make sense of their own world. How had the people that God promised Abraham he would make a great nation wound up on the verge of extinction in Babylon?
It's one of the burdens of monotheism is you got nobody to blame when you're in trouble. In pagan religion, if another nation defeats you, you can say their God was more powerful than your God. But in monotheism, if you're suffering, it must be that you did something wrong.
The scribes' book was, above all, an explanation to their fellow exiles of what the Israelites had done to lose God's favor. The story began with the life of the man to whom the scribes devoted more words than any other. His name was Moses, and he was one of the most unlikely heroes ever portrayed. According to the Bible, Moses' ancestors had fled from Canaan to Egypt during a famine and been enslaved there. Then Moses had to flee Egypt after killing an Egyptian who was abusing an Israelite slave. In the desert, he married a nomad and was given the menial job of tending his father-in-law's sheep.